Welcome to this class where we are going to talk about how to go from offline to online. Before we get in here, I wanted to understand a little about how the business world works and the levels of marketing and advertising. Let's notice that before there was television and internet, etc., the majority of people transacted in the markets. And I'm not talking about the financial markets, we're talking about the town markets, where you would go to interact with the butcher, with someone who sold flowers, someone who sold swords, and well, the swords may be before the time that I meant. It was a kind of interaction where people did business with people, okay? Then, what happens is it got a little more complicated. It began appearing companies, and what I call the television boom came out. Television started in the 20s, got popularized in the 30s, and then suddenly exploded. All houses started to have their own televisions, being connected to television channels, and they constantly received news, soap operas, TV shows, and between the soap operas and TV shows, they started to put on advertisements. What is happening is there are some companies that very roughly, for example, like Johnson & Johnson, they have noticed that there were a lot of people that were seen in this box, and there weren't many companies putting ads there. The first companies to put ads on television created empires, gigantic multinational businesses that are still around today because they already have a lot of strength. What is going on? In the 90s, the internet theme was invented, and well, it was considered something a bit freak. Let's think that the internet in the 90s was nothing like the internet we know today. The internet that we know today, well, it connects you to many websites, apps, a lot of stories. Before it was more like a freak thing. Nobody knew that it could have a potential. What is going on in the 2000s? The first social networks appeared, and it makes the hyper-connectivity of the world accelerate. They used to talk about globalization of exports and imports of materials. They made the world more global. About the airplanes, we could visit countries in a very short time. But with the issue of social networks, we started to connect socially. This expanded very fast, and what happens is that some first influencers and YouTubers and people who made content creators started to find a place around here where they could express themselves creatively, and some also began to earn money. It turns out that the companies try to get in here, but at first it cost them a little. This is where things like the profession of the community manager, which is the agreement that a while ago was super fashionable and all companies wanted their community to control their social network. What they did, how they did it, but they hadn't done it in a great way. They had done it rather well to control situations in which there were comments of dissatisfied people. But what happens little by little, content creators started to appear, and they also began to set up their small businesses. And then there are people who content creators who they liked about the paintings and, well, a course on how to paint. They started to have some success. Those who like, for example, painting miniatures with brushes and small paints, well, a business is created where they sell brushes, and these brush sales became business, for example. If you wanted to do it in your small town, so what happens? You wouldn't leave many people because the niche, okay, this is very important. Let's say with this word, the market niche was too small to succeed in such reduced geolocations. When we talk about internet, it is like having the opportunity to export all over the world. This is the complete example. One of the YouTubers that is called Squidmark, who has recently launched a campaign, quickly started selling some brushes to paint more properly, let's say, and that has generated more than 500,000 in the campaign, okay? And that is super interesting because this is only allowed in the world social networks, in the internet world. And with all that, what do I mean? This class is going to pass from online to online. are the authority that you have in the field that you're talking about, the trust that you generate towards the people who are looking towards your potentials, and finally, sympathy that they have with you. Further, try to do one thing. Would you buy from someone without any of these three factors? Would you buy from someone who has no authority? You like them, they are very nice, you trust them, but they have no authority over what they are talking about. For example, if you like him very well, your friend Juan, but you know he has no ideas to repair cars, you would never repair the car in that office that he started. If instead he has authority, you have no confidence and sympathy, you wouldn't repair the car in his workshop as much as you know. Even if he's good with cars and you like him because he's nice, and, well, but you don't trust him, you would never leave the car in his office because you think he's going to swindle you. Like, you're going to charge me more, and if you have authority but have no sympathy, if he has authority and trust but has no sympathy, neither would you leave the car in his workshop because you don't like it. This is the magic triangle where we're going to understand and be able to sell more with our personal brand. Going from offline to online, what succeeds online, it is not the brands. They are not the companies, and if you have a company established offline, it is not as easy as putting that brand online. There must always be a person that connects with people. You can do an exercise. Look at everyone in the companies that are succeeding online, and those who are in front, they triumph 10 times more because they generate trust, sympathy, and authority. And this is easier to sell than ever. The other way is possible because there are companies that do sell online without a personal brand, but that requires a value proposition that is incredibly awesome, that not everyone can reach in terms of levels of hyper value proposition. And on the other hand, it requires more time. So the trick and the hack is make a personal brand that could be yours from the entrepreneur or anyone from your company. And now we'll see how to develop the personal brand to generate authority, trust, and sympathy. To create this personal brand that is a personal brand, okay, it can be yours or anyone else's, in charge of making free content. And on the other hand, it will be in charge of making the advertisements. This personal brand has to go to a tribe, okay? A tribe must create the content. And within this tribe, there are different avatars. When we browse the advertisements, it is interesting that when we do the content for the whole tribe and when we make the ads, we must make a good decision to the most complete avatar profiles. For example, in the tribe of the Emprende Aprendiendo, there are people who want to undertake. My tribe are entrepreneurs. But if, for example, we're selling a training for, I don't know, consultancy, for example, it's better to find the avatar. It will not just be someone who wants to undertake, but someone who wants to undertake in a field of consultancy, who's really looking for a career change. If someone, for example, we're making an ad for a copywriting training, that will make a more specific avatar for this type of product. But they all have to do with the tribe. The content we talk about our tribe, and then we follow up with some specific avatars to make the ads. This will help us a lot to plan the contents of ads and of organic content. But I'm doing a little more in terms of content that sometimes I see. Because sometimes I see there are many issues there. For your personal brand to succeed with content, it is very important that, let's say that the idea is that you're solving your tribe's problems. You're contributing with interesting things, right? So, which are the three types of content that you can record? Unlimited problems. This means problems that your tribe always suffers or undergoes. On the topic of entrepreneurship, My whole tribe always undergoes issues. How to make a business plan or how to start a business with or without partners, okay? These are things that are always repeated. There are tons of videos that you can create to solve these problems of your tribe. Then there are the current issues, which are news, actuality, or new things that are emerging for your tribe. For example, on the subject of entrepreneurship, when the GDRP law came out, I could sell my opinion there. Those are current issues. These are videos and content that are more viral at first, and then they can have a curve that goes lower. This is instead, these are videos that at the beginning may not have too many visits, but they tend to position themselves in the long term. And finally, this is the formula to bring a lot of traffic, which is the third type of content, which is curiosity, more education, more entertainment. These are contents that generated a lot of curiosity so that the viewers immediately could get hooked to see what it is for curiosity, not only for our tribe, if not for the world in general. Within the content, what we're going to do is entertain them so that they stay there and in the process educate them to become part of our tribe. For me, the strategy is I enter on YouTube, get a content cut on YouTube, because here I can get a seeker where people can search for keywords. And if you analyze the keyword that you want to position, you can make a better video than the one that is positioned there, and you will see that little by little will be positioning yourself, and those same videos they will upload them to YouTube and also give them a square format, because we think that in the end Instagram and Facebook, it can be heard. What comes out in the video is not automatically heard. So we have to make a square video so that it gets longer and place on the very video a hook, a powerful title to hook people into it so they can click and listen, okay? The same video that is uploaded to YouTube can also be distributed on Facebook and Instagram, okay? Don't make so much specific content for Facebook and Instagram. You will already make content when you grow in followers. The interesting thing is also that here, when uploading this content that you already created for YouTube, when you have an ad on them, people, when they don't want to buy your products or when they can come to these social networks and follow you on Facebook and Instagram. In this way, you also increase your number of followers. It is as if you were paying to advertise your product and also to increase your number of followers. Lastly, we said that we will not go into the advertisements issue, but I'm going to leave you as a gift my little script that I continue to make concerning the advertisements. It's some strategy that you can implement. I'm not going to get into the topic of how to place these ads on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and there is way too much training in this sense out there. But when you make these ads to social media or YouTube, I follow the AIPSCTA strategy, which is basically the first part of what you have to get your avatar's attention. Do you remember that before we talked about making different avatars for the product and etc.? So we have to draw the attention of the avatar. If I was a person with those tastes and interests, what should I do to get your attention? On the other hand is the identification. You have to call your avatar. For example, if your avatar is someone who likes cooking and you are selling them something in terms of cooking recipes, the tension could be, the thing here could be you're in the kitchen juggling a few different kitchen tools with the fires, and then quickly you have to identify your avatar, and that is to say, hey, are you someone who is interested in cooking? So I have something to tell you, you know? You identify the avatar, attention, identification, then we have the P for problems, and this is to explain the problem in question. For example, in the kitchen it would be, don't you sometimes face a situation in which you have to cook in 1 hour or 2 or longer than normal, and you think about what to do more in the process, more than in the process of the cooking, so you just open a problem. And this is the avatar's real problem. Then you have to give it a solution. which in the case would be your product or service or a lead market that you're offering or a master class that you're offering. Okay, so the solution and then a call to action. What does it say? Simply, hey, see there? I'll explain more about this topic from here. Let's notice that later you can complicate it as much as you want because you can extend it to the problem, to the solution, but this is a base, so you can quickly create ads. And then finally, the problem is that often when you record the same ad and you place it on the social networks and right away, at first it works well, and then people get burned from that ad. What is a great solution? Same message, same ad, with some words, change it, but in different areas. For example, you could record one video outside your house, in the office, on vacation, or maybe when you're in the pool, okay? And these, what is generated in the end is the trust that the person has, because they see you in different places at the end. The spectator's brain, after all, does not distinguish that. It is like you would have been with them in the pool, in your house or on the terrace, and that generates a lot of confidence. It is attacking the deepest reptilian brain. The same message that you have created with different words, it is you will be in different sites, and this will prevent that ad from getting so fat.